viewers, and welcome back to another episode of Sessions with Koren. It's a pleasure being with you again. Last week we spoke about a very important topic, that of our youth and how they manage screen time. We discovered that many of our young people admitted to being so addicted to their phones that they experience anxiety if they ran out of battery or credit. We also discussed the link between screen addiction and mental health issues. Today, we're going to speak about a mental health issue affecting many persons in Antigua and Barbuda, that of depression. How do you know if you're just sad or if you're actually suffering from depression? How can you tell if a loved one needs help, and what to do if someone you know is suicidal? With me today, I have a doctor in the house, and she has worked in the mental health arena for many years, and we will address these and other questions right after the break. In studio today with me now is Dr. Teri-Ann Joseph. Dr. Joseph is an Antiguan by birth and has been practicing medicine in Antigua and Barbuda for the past 18 years, 11 of which were spent working at the 𝐕𝐈𝐃𝐄𝐫 Psychiatric Hospital. Dr. Joseph serves as a Deputy Chief Medical Officer and is currently spearheading the updating of the mental health legislation to one that aligns with the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities and other human rights instruments. Dr. Joseph, thank you so much for being with us today to discuss this very important topic.
Thank you very much for the invitation. It's always a pleasure to share information with the public of Antigua and Barbuda. And you know, I can't ever tell you no, Koren. So.
I'm happy that you're here. So to start off the discussion, we'd like to let our viewers know what are the factors that actually contribute to a person developing depression.
Very good question. So there are several factors. So let's break them up. So then there are genetic factors. So it can run in families.
Yes.
So for example, if there is a twin who has had depression, the other twin has a 70% chance of developing depression at some point in his or her life. There are biochemical imbalances in the brain that can contribute to depression as well. There also are environmental factors. So persons who are exposed for a prolonged period of time to violence, abuse, poverty, that can lead to depression as well. We have personality issues, so persons who are generally very pessimistic are likely to suffer from depression. And there are also factors like prolonged period of stress that could lead to depression as well. And actually after certain illnesses. So for example, we know that persons who would have suffered a heart attack, after they've recovered, they're likely to have depression as well. So those are some of the factors.
Yes, and I can imagine if somebody has a combination. If you have a genetic factor and then you've been under stress for so long, and it's important that you mention that thing about after an illness. I have seen some patients who are recovering from a stroke.
Yes.
And the change in the brain and the life circumstances and having to adapt, and some of them become severely depressed.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you mentioned that. because one of the things that we've been advocating for is having some sort of counseling or mental health worker, attached to persons who are diagnosed with what we'd call chronic diseases.
Yes.
Because it comes with a plethora of changes. Imagine doing things a particular way all the time, and now you have to make significant changes.
Yes.
Something as simple as a person who suffers with diabetes.
Yes.
All the changes in diet, the lifestyle changes. Now you have to exercise, and diet itself is a whole other issue. While we should eat a particular way, now you have to really factor that in, and now you have to think about whether or not I even have the resources to be able to
change.
Yes. So, yeah.
So that's a big thing. Persons suffering with chronic illness, having to be on dialysis, being in pain, and all these things. That's really important. So for family members, sometimes they take it personally when somebody is suffering with depression, not functioning at home. What are some of the symptoms that they can look at to know, okay, you know what, this person is not just acting out, they're actually suffering with depression?
Koren, just this morning, before I answer your question, just this morning I was having a conversation with a family member. We were speaking about the fact that somebody, became withdrawn.
Okay.
The person is like, well, that person should have reached out. And I said, absolutely not. If this person has depression, you cannot expect the person to reach out.
Exactly.
So I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I wanted to tell that story, because that kind of sets the foundation for the answer. So when you have depression, there's a prolonged, emphasis on prolonged, at least 2 weeks,
yes,
prolonged period of sadness, hopelessness, and emptiness. You can have changes in your diet or appetite, I should put it that way, changes in your appetite. So you either really eat or you don't want to eat at all.
Yes.
You can have changes in your weight that has nothing at all to do with changes in your diet. Just being tired all the time.
Yes, that fatigue.
Fatigue. Loss of interest in things that you once had interest in before. So, for example, cricket season is coming up, right?
Oh my.
And you are an avid cricket supporter and you love West Indies.
And all of a sudden
you're really not interested in it. And it has nothing to do with how West Indies is performing.
That's a whole other topic.
Yeah, let's leave that one right there, lest I become depressed myself. Anyway,
yes.
So you have no interest in things that you once had interest in. You can become withdrawn. You don't want to be around anybody at all. You want to lock yourself away. Difficulty concentrating, difficulty thinking, difficulty making decisions. Sometimes people may interpret that as you're unsure of yourself, you're procrastinating, not realizing that you really do have a mental health issue, going on. Changes in your sleeping habits. You may not be able to sleep at all, or you may just sleep excessively, just not want to get out of bed at all.
Yes, I've heard people complain about that, having so many thoughts going through their head sometimes, ruminating thoughts and not able to sleep. Like one thing to another. What will happen if this? What will happen if that? And they're just going. Yeah.
It's a lot. There are other signs as well. Not paying attention to your personal hygiene anymore. Becoming very irritable and short patient. And you might hear the comment, I don't know why I'm tishy. I have a son, short patient, baka to nigga. Perhaps.
Yes.
This person has a real mental health issue, and specifically depression, and those are the changes that you're seeing. So I said irritability. I also said that not paying attention to your personal hygiene. So, these are some of the things that we could, look out for.
Yeah, and I imagine this would affect your relationships, your work life, every aspect of your life.
Absolutely. Which is why I want to go back to the previous example. Because we're saying we're noticing these changes, this person is becoming withdrawn. And you expect the person to say, hey guys, I need a little help now, or guys, I don't feel so good. But sometimes you don't even have the will or the presence of mind to even reach out.
Yes.
And so it's important that we understand the signs and we, reach out to persons. You can't always wait for somebody to say, I need help.
Yes.
It's for you to be supportive and reach out to the person. And don't bother with the stories about well, man up, get a grip of
Oh,
yourself.
my. Yes, yes.
Things can't be that hard. People process things differently.
Absolutely.
And people cope differently. And so being understanding is going to be very important, and being supportive is going to be critical.
Yes.
We are our brother's keeper. I mean, we say that all the time. We're a Christian nation. We go
it.
to church and we think we are our brother's keeper. We always think of it in the confines of, oh, I didn't see you at church today. Is there, that's all the thing. But it's beyond that.
It's beyond that.
Knowing the person, knowing how this person normally functions, and saying, something is
not right there.
Yes.
I need to check in on them.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So that means that you can be sad sometimes.
Of course.
You've lost somebody, you lost your pet, you lost your job, you're just feeling sad. How do we tell the difference between what's normal sadness and what's like a sort of a clinical depression?
Right. So you are absolutely right. You are going to be sad. We have all sorts of emotions, right? Anger, sadness, happiness, And it's if you look at it, it just goes like,
there's no straight line.
There is no straight line. It curves, it bends, it's up, it's down, it's it's all over the place sometimes, like a scribble. But again, all of the symptoms that I mentioned before, you have to have these persisting for at least 2 weeks.
Okay.
At least 2 weeks. And it has to severely impair your ability to function. So function at work, take care of yourself, and it cannot be the way you are normally either. So you have to take that into consideration.
Yes. Sometimes we can be very judgmental of others when we see changes without stopping to consider maybe this person is dealing with something. So we have to be very mindful of that. Parents have to be mindful of their children, husbands, wives, husbands, everybody. Let's just say I'm living with someone or working with someone or have a colleague or something. What are the red flags that I should look out for? I understand that people will be sad sometimes. People will be depressed. Sometimes it gets to the clinical depression that's really serious and can be debilitating. Right. When does it get to a point where I really need to take action? What are some red flags?
Okay, so if the person becomes irritable, easily agitated.
Yes.
Again, not really caring for themselves anymore, so the hygiene is out of the door. Person becomes withdrawn. So these are the easy things that you can see, right?
Yes.
You may find that person doesn't concentrate so much anymore. So like making simple errors that just don't make any sense.
That happens a lot at work. So instead of HR writing them up, then I can imagine at work that would affect your performance.
Of course, absolutely. And there's also changes in your weight. So example again. Auntie guns have a habit of seeing you somewhere and go, murder, can I use you? Koren, you're boss with fat.
Yes, absolutely. Very insensitive.
It is insensitive, but you just don't know what that person is going through. And remember, one of the things I said is that you can have changes in your weight, not related to your diet, simply because you are depressed. And we know that prolonged stress. Cortisol gets released, and cortisol makes you fat and blow up your belly and all that. And you're probably eating, right, but it's all of this that's happening to you. So it's about being more sensitive. I just had to say it. And by the way, your boss with fat is not a greeting. Good morning, good afternoon, how are you?
Yes.
And if you really care, Koren, what's going on with you? I noticed that you've gained a little weight. Is everything okay?
Are you okay? Something as simple as that makes a big difference.
And sometimes you don't even have to mention the weight changes either.
You shouldn't mention somebody's weight, really. Except it's your close family member or something like that.
Of course. Is everything okay? How is everything going? Again, oh my goodness, I just don't understand why we do that.
We have no idea the burdens people are carrying around when we see them. We just see people, we see them dressed differently, and instead of trying to help, we might gossip about them. And one of the things I've noticed, Dr. Joseph, is that we're very reactive as a society. So if the news says, okay, there's been a suicide attempt or something, everybody on Facebook, everybody on here, there, and everywhere has the most to say. But then 2 weeks later, when you're organizing a march or you're trying to call around for some financial support for a program, where are all these people? We're very reactive when it comes to mental health.
How about where were you 2 weeks earlier when the person was showing you everything that said,
yes,
I have depression. Oh, and by the way, I'm thinking about, you know, dying by suicide. And, you know, there's certain things that you can look out for when a person is really saying, I don't want to live anymore. Sometimes they really just say those words.
Yes. What are some of the signs, though, that someone is suicidal?
So they may say, I don't want to live anymore. They may say, you know, I don't want to be a burden anymore. I feel like I'm a burden. They may express how worthless they feel and how much the world is going to be better off without them. They may start to give away things. Big things
yes, that's a big one, especially for elderly persons.
They start to give away things. They start to give away things. And those are the things that we really see happening. But even before it gets to that point, let's back up on when they were showing us that they had depression.
Yes.
And so we miss things.
We miss things.
We miss things because we don't know. Sometimes we miss things because we are waiting for people to reach out. Well, if she want help, she'll just, if you want help, you'll just reach out. When they're ready, no, sometimes you really have to approach that person.
Yes.
And it goes back to what you were saying about being proactive instead of being reactive. And then when something happens, we said, but if I had known, the signs were there.
Yes, the signs were
they
there.
They were all there.
And instead of judging, because one of the things I've noticed with some young persons, when they've lost interest in everything and sort of given up, they seem to be get involved in promiscuous behavior, using substances. Is like my body, nothing matters anymore. And instead of saying something is wrong, let me talk with this person, we start gossiping, we start judging. That does not help anyone.
And I'm glad that you brought that up as well, because that is also a sign that a person is really thinking about dying by suicide.
Yeah, what's the point of anything?
There's no point anymore. Yeah, absolutely right.
Yes, so we don't have to wait for the note. We don't have to wait for the attempt. We can be proactive, be our brother's keepers, and all that sort of thing. Are there any special words for parents of youth? Because people seem to think when you're young, you're just happy-go-lucky, you have no responsibility. But our young people, some of them are struggling. Self-esteem issues, gender identity issues. They're not sure where they want to be in life. Some are having sexual assault. There's like a lot of trauma in the lives of some of our young people. What can parents do to kind of help our young people, you know, navigate some of these challenges so they don't get to the point of depression?
Koren, that's a loaded question, so we're going to have to find a summary to answer that. It starts with advice. So you have to know your child.
You have to know your child. Absolutely. That's a big thing.
You have to take time to know your child. You have to.
Parents are busy.
If you don't,
they're working 2 jobs, they're putting food on the table. That's what they say. I am working 2 jobs to put food on the table. I'm sending you to school. I don't really have time for anything else.
And then if you miss everything, then you're working 2 jobs to bury your child. How about that? Very well. So, you have to know your child. Know your child, know the child's temperament. And that only happens with spending time with that child. Now, I understand we have a lot of things to do. But there's something called scheduling. You cannot be busy 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Carve time out that's just for your child.
Yes.
So that you can spend time with that child. So you can have conversations with your child and conversations that are meaningful.
Meaningful conversations.
Meaningful conversations. Yes. So you get to know more about your child, what your child likes, but you also get to build a very good relationship that allows you now to be able to tell your child about life.
Yes.
And I find sometimes, this is a term that I use a lot. I'd like to take credit for it. I've never heard anybody say it before. We tend to have selective amnesia.
Okay.
So we forget about the challenges that we had when we were that child's age.
Yes, and our expectations.
And how we had to navigate it. So we forget about that. So we're not able to give the lifelong lesson. But then if we do give the lesson, it's always about somebody else or something that's hypothetical.
Yes.
But if you really say, listen, when I was your age, this is some of the things that I had to go through. yes, I may have had you in marriage, but I didn't keep myself until marriage. And this is what happened. And this is how this made me feel.
That
and I
is
don't
so powerful.
want you to go through that. That's why I'm telling you to keep yourself until you are married.
That would be so powerful if we can share our life lessons with our youth.
But that's what you're meant to do.
That
is
builds
what you are meant to-
relationship.
Exactly. It builds relationship. It builds character.
Character,
in your child.
connection, understanding, everything.
Exactly.
It makes a difference. A lot of our youth are not having these conversations with their parents. So they go elsewhere, they go here, there, and everywhere, and then they end up very sad, depressed. They make a lot of mistakes. They don't know how to recover from it, and then they feel like that's it, that's the end.
And you have to create an environment that is safe.
A safe space, okay.
Your child should be able to tell you anything, no matter how horrid it is, and you are able to emotionally protect that child.
Wow.
It has to be safe. Come
Wow.
and tell me first. Tell me, we'll navigate it.
Yes.
So, and that has been very difficult. Because imagine living, I'll use a good example. Imagine living in the pastor's house. And you're not married and end up pregnant. How are you going to tell? So it's almost as if you already are at a prejudice now, because how do I tell my parents who have certain expectations, this is what has happened? Huh?
I understand. That would
If
be
the
hard.
space is safe, then you can come and
You
say
can
that.
do that.
And then navigate what needs to be done. So safe space is really, really, really important.
That is really
you
important
You can't
in the
judge
homes.
anyone. You want the child to be able to tell you things, because it's a matter of being able to give information and take the opportunity to teach lessons that's going to be good for that child.
That is good. Parents, I hope you're taking note. I hope you're taking note of that, building relationship and listening to your child and being real. Being real. I know for depression, sometimes we have to use medication to help the person, but in terms of lifestyle, what role does diet and exercise and sleep and those other factors play in terms of alleviating some of the symptoms or helping?
Well, it's not just alleviating the symptoms, it's to help you have very good mental health in the first place. So
Absolutely,
you want to
mental,
have a
yes.
healthy diet, you want to have lean meat, you want to have, whole grains. You want to have a diet that has omega-3 fatty acids. These things help with your
brain
memory.
health,
Yes, your brain health as well. Foods that have contribute to good gut health, so like your Greek yogurts and your kombuchas, because once you have a healthy gut, that actually helps with your mood as well. Believe it or not, so that's one. That's for diet in a nutshell. In terms of exercise, as you exercise, your body releases what we call happy hormones or endorphins.
Yes.
So you feel better about yourself, and then you exercise and you lose weight, and you're, according to some people, snap.
The hardest thing is to start, and once you get through it, then you feel better after. The hardest thing is to start.
But you look better, because I tell you, and so you look better, you feel better,
yes.
And so that also helps.
When I'm doing counseling with persons who are suffering with depression, I always ask them to spend time in the sun, to spend time exercising. I feel like it certainly makes a big difference. We have the beach here. A lot of people don't take advantage of that, the relaxing nature of it. We don't take enough advantage of that. Any special therapeutic approaches you want to mention as we seek to close off the topic? I know it's a lot, but
it's a lot. So, in a nutshell, we have interpersonal therapy. You have cognitive behavioral therapy. There is something that's called, I think, psychodynamic therapy as well, and mindful meditation.
Yes.
And what all of these things do together would be to seek out how your thoughts, your negative thoughts, how that contributes to your psychological health, how your interpersonal relationships contribute as well, and how your unconscious mind and things that happen in childhood can influence your current state. So of course you get tools for managing stress, tools for coping strategies.
Coping strategies, absolutely.
And also conflict resolution.
Yes.
So how to manage your interpersonal relationships. And, those sometimes by themselves are helpful, and sometimes you may need, meds, but that's okay.
Yes,
The idea is to get you on the path to recovery and ensuring that you actually do recover.
That makes a lot of sense, and persons should see a professional, even if you start off with your physician, and then you can see a psychiatrist, a mental health professional. How can we promote mental health well-being on a broader scale in Antigua and Barbuda?
Well, I would say it starts with the individual.
Okay.
If you see something, support the person. Always encourage that person to go to get help. That's where it starts.
Yes.
Normalizing the conversation.
I love this one, normalized mental health conversations.
Mental health is something that we want to have. We talk about everything else when it comes to health. Why not talk about mental health and the factors that actually affect that? Because you are not healthy unless you have good mental health.
Exactly, holistic.
And there's so many things that feed into that. Your physical health feeds into your mental health. Your social well-being feeds into your state of mental health.
That's a whole other topic. The
so
social
everything
part
about you feeds into your mental health. So that's why it's so important. So normalize the topic. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the difficulties we have.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. There's so much to unpack in this topic, but we've done as much as we can. But Dr. Joseph, I'm going to put you on the spot. Don't give me that look. I'm going to put you on the spot. I have a mystery question for all my guests every week, right? If you were to eat just one food alone daily for the rest of your life, what would that be?
One food?
Yes.
Bread.
Bread?
Yeah.
Okay. At any special time?
Once I have flour and yeast, the possibilities are endless.
That is good. Mine is fried plantain.
Oh, that's a good one.
Fried plantain.
Yeah.
I think that should be everybody's favorite food.
I actually like that, but you only give me one choice. It would have been plantains, bread, and eggs. I could eat eggs every day.
Well, those are actually healthy,
and
so
lemon.
that's good.
So all I need to survive is water, lemon, egg, flour, and yeast.
I'll keep that in mind. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking with you, and all the information you shared I know will help our viewers and everyone in Antigua and Barbuda. More on Sessions with Koren after the break. Thank you so much.
Seventh Heaven, 3 floors of a wonderful shopping experience. Feel the warmth of our jazz floor. You'll find everything dressy and classy, for children too. Enjoy everyday sweet savings on our candy casual floor. Jeans, tops, work attire, and more. Getting married on a budget? Fairy Tale Weddings at Seventh Heaven has bridal gowns, men's suits, and accessories. Special discounts for platinum members, senior citizens, and high school students. Follow us on social media. Seventh Heaven, South Street.
Viewers, welcome back. Supporting a family member who is dealing with depression is crucial, and your care can make a significant difference. Here are 8 tips to help you with your family. Number 1, encourage professional help. Encourage your family member to seek professional support from a therapist, counselor, or psychiatrist. Professional guidance is essential for understanding and managing depression effectively. Number 2, listen in a non-judgmental manner. Be an empathetic listener. Allow your family member to express his or her feelings without judgment. Sometimes, just having someone to talk to can be a great relief. Number 3, educate yourself. Learn about depression to better understand what your family member is going through. This knowledge will help you provide informed and compassionate support. Recognize that depression is an illness, it's not a choice. Number 4, offer practical assistance. Help with daily tasks that may seem overwhelming during depressive episodes. Offer assistance with chores, errands, or childcare to alleviate some of the pressure. Number 5, be patient. Recovery from depression takes time. Be patient and understanding, acknowledging that there will be good days and bad days. Offer consistent support without the pressure. Number 6, encourage healthy habits. Support a healthy lifestyle by encouraging regular exercise, a balanced diet, and adequate sleep. These habits can positively impact mood and energy levels. Number 7, avoid making assumptions. Be cautious about making assumptions or offering simplistic solutions. Depression can be a very complex condition, and what works for one person might not necessarily work for another. Focus on understanding that person's unique experience. Remember, you are not a replacement for professional help. Encourage your family member to seek assistance from mental health professionals. If you're concerned about that person's immediate safety, don't hesitate to involve emergency services. Time now for your golden nugget. A journey of 1,000 miles must begin with a single step. My friends, we all have goals and dreams, and we think about them, we plan for them, but we won't get anywhere unless we start. By taking just one step forward, we are already closer to where we want to be. Please check out our past episodes on YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, as we wrap up this first season of Sessions with Koren, I want to express heartfelt gratitude to our phenomenal guests, our dedicated viewers, and our hard-working behind-the-scenes team. Their stories, support, and tireless efforts have made this season unforgettable. To our guests, thank you for sharing your wisdom and passion. To our viewers, thank you for inviting us into your homes week after week. And to our amazing crew, your dedication has been the backbone of this show. As we say goodbye to this season, it's not farewell, it's just to see you soon. We're gearing up for an even more exciting next season. Keep the conversation alive, stay curious, and until then, take care.